right, that's going.
Hold on. Good. All right. And welcome back here to another weekend on the Big Man's Report on News Talk 1400 and 92.3 WOND. I am your host, Blake Roselle. I hope you all had a fantastic week. And boy, these weeks just keep going. They keep moving. We want to slow down a little bit because summertime we enjoy. We love the weather. We love the beach. And we don't want to have that go too fast because then before you know it, we'll be sitting in our living rooms again in the winter in the snow. And that's no good for anyone unless you like skiing. But thank you all again for joining me this wonderful evening on this Saturday night. Again, like I said, I hope you guys are all excited and tuned in. I hope you had a great work week and looking forward to the weekend, some time off. Last week, if you guys tuned in, I had on a very special guest of mine, came down all the way from New York. He's all over TikTok, Instagram. He's a big sensation of the last 2 years and really got his start during the pandemic where he was visiting local businesses, local Italian bakeries, and whatnot in his neighborhood, restaurants. And he was basically making these people laugh because in a time of need, during the pandemic when we started, we were scared. We didn't know what to think, what was going on. So he kind of made people laugh and he went and supported these local businesses with a mask and all and saying, come down to Ralph's, come on down to Sal's and grab yourself a nice coal-fired pizza because that's what he did best and that's what he made possible for those people in his neighborhood. So we want to thank little Mo Mozzarella again for coming on the program last week. We had a great, funny hour of lots of laughs. He told me about his life, his stories, how he got started in his business. And he also talked about a couple local businesses that he has visited that were near and dear to him and how he got started. Again, you can look him up on Instagram and Twitter and TikTok. He's all over. Little Mo Mozzarella on Instagram. You do not want to miss him. He is hilarious. And maybe one day he'll be at a restaurant near you. He actually came the night that he did our interview last week. He came down to Margate afterwards, and we went to a local restaurant, Saltwater, there on Ventnor Avenue. And he came in, he talked about some of the customers and talked about the food, did some food reviews, delicious pizza, delicious and yuckies, and whatever you want to call it. The food is unbelievable. So get on down to Saltwater. There on Adams and Ventnor Avenue in Margate, and Mel will be posting a review about that shortly on his Instagram page that you can find right up on there. So thank you, Mo, again for coming down last week. Looking forward to doing it again real soon. But this week on the program, before I introduce my guest, I would like to talk a little bit about the media world. Now, you guys know I had Deb Whitcast on last week, or 2 weeks ago, excuse me, and she's a sports journalist, okay, and two-time Emmy-winning TV producer. And she, works in the TV industry. She's working on the show Dirty Jobs with Mike Rowe on season 3. She's done many shows, production shows with Fox affiliate, CBS, MSNBC, HGTV, eBravo, and all those. Also does some work for some ESPN. She was at the 2022 NFL Draft most recently, and she interviewed players, the likes of names of Rob Gronkowski and many other former Eagles and Philadelphia 76ers as well. So, Deb, thank you for coming on the program. And, you can check her out on her Instagram as well, at Deb Whitcast Live. And we talked some good things about the sports media world and just the media world in general. So when you think about media, you think about news, you think about TV production, whatever you may think of, okay? But how about, when you put a twist on it and you do some interesting things in the news, you want to make it fun. And this gentleman that I'm going to introduce makes it fun, really grabs his audience attention and his viewers, and he does a phenomenal job. He's a dear friend of mine, and you may know him from the Philadelphia area. He's all over. You can't miss him in the morning. Mr. Bob Kelly from Fox 29 News. Welcome, Bob.
Thank you. It's great to be. I don't have a funny name like Mo Mozzarella, but call me Bus Stop Bob, as the Geeter would say, right?
Bus Stop Bob and the good old Geeter. It was great to see you last week, by the way, coming into the Geeters.
Yeah, it was a great time. I love, Jerry got me started in this crazy business, 30-some years ago. And it's always great to go back to memories and just have a great time, do some dancing, hanging out with you, with Jerry, with the rest of the gang.
Yeah. He definitely has a fun environment, a fun place, and he's been doing it, so long. Go way back with Jerry, and I enjoy being there with him and all the people that come in. We have a good time every weekend.
Yeah.
Can't beat it, right? So, Bob, what I like to do is I like to talk a little bit about yourself and your family growing up. Now, before we get into your media career and where you've been and where you're at this point in your career, where did you grow up and what was your family like life, hobbies, stuff like that as a young kid?
Well, for me, I was born and raised at Bridesburg, Northeast Philly, right there, Bridge Street exit at 95. Went to North Catholic, Temple University. I got 3 younger sisters. My mom and my 3 sisters still live in the neighborhood, still live there in Bridesburg. So still connected, to my roots down there in Northeast Philly. So growing up, paper route, collecting papers, you're working at the local hobby store, and always wanted to be a disc jockey on the radio. That was my goal. Mm-hmm. That's what I always wanted to be. Jerry was an idol growing up, and I got my first job with Jerry, and then from there, my first job on radio was at 102.9 WMGK up there in Philly.
Okay. So take us a little bit back with the Geeters. So you go back with Jerry. You're a young kid. So where would you first meet Jerry, and how did you start your relationship with Jerry? Wow.
Yeah. So I kind of remember Jerry and I were playing at the same place. I was in, I think it was Dugan's on the Boulevard maybe, where I was in one room, Jerry was in the other. I'm like, wow, the Geeters next door. So Jerry heard me doing my thing and said, hey, I'd love to have you come on and jump on my radio station. And that's how the relationship started. Mm-hmm. I'd fill in for Jerry on the radio. Especially days when he would run, jet down to Memories early, and that's how I got my first start in radio. Somebody, like Jerry, giving me a chance to get on the air, and then fine tune those, your talents to be able to get picked up by a bigger radio station in Philly.
Yeah. So when you first started in radio, did you liked radio, obviously, right? Is that the direction you wanted to go initially? You liked radio, or?
Yeah, I did. I love radio. Always wanted to be a DJ. That's what I went to school for.
Yeah.
To be a disc jockey. Communications, Temple University back then. It was RTF, Radio, Television, Film. Mm-hmm. was what they called it. Now they got one of the biggest communication schools in the country. Yeah. But that was my goal, to be a disc jockey, and I started a mobile business along with that, to help put myself through college. DJ the weddings, the beef and beers, the parties, the corner pubs. So a combination of working and spinning the records. Just like Jerry's got the stacks of wax down there. And I still have all my records. I still have all that stuff.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, you go in his place, and his Memories of Margate. He's got over hundreds and hundreds of records, and they're all like the original vinyls too.
Oh yeah,
it's amazing that he was able to preserve those and keep those out through so many years. And at this point, you cherish them. They're antiques. They're beautiful. And
vinyl's coming back. If you look around, you can see these vinyl record stores are coming back up. Kids are buying the record players again because it's again, what's old is new. The record players are new to this younger generation. Mm-hmm. And it's something that they can physically hold, physically see. Yeah. So it's great that it's coming back. We got all the old stuff. I'm ready to take the records on the road again.
Yeah, and it's cool. It's like more like a nostalgic feel. You look at the records, and it makes you feel like real old school, because now, don't get me wrong. The DJs of the days now, they have more of the mixers and the more electronic, the computers, the laptops, and everything's kind of done on a laptop. You look at all these modern day DJs, which is great, but I feel like something brings more energy out in the room personally with the old vinyls. What Jerry's able to do, for weeks on end, and what he does with his broadcasts and everything, it's amazing to still feel that you hear the record spin, and the way he does it, and just watching him over the years is amazing.
And I think using the records as opposed to a laptop. Nowadays, you see everybody, they walk in the room, they got a laptop, that's it. They set it up. Right. We used to carry these records in and out, up and down the steps. So with the records, you can actually, and you see Jerry do it, you can shuffle through and you can pick which one you're going to play next. You physically have something in your hand.
Yeah.
And to me, that's always been important, because trying to think about what's the next song you want to play and trying to scroll through a laptop just isn't the same as having those records to fold, to kind of slide through and flip through which one you're going to play next.
Yeah, and speaking of going up that point, it's kind of funny, because a lot of the times I'll help him with that. I'm standing there being his Geeter guard, helping him out. And then, sometimes he'll say, hey, hand me a record, or hey, can you grab me this one? When his sidekick Joel, we all know Joel and love Joel. When he's busy doing his thing on the other side, on the other end, I'm helping him, handing him records, doing that, and it's cool. Like you said, you're not scrolling through a computer, but you're kind of just like you're grabbing the record and you're just kind of going through it. Okay, I'm going to put this one on.
It's like when you got a crowd, you got the crowd dancing, and you're trying to think of what you're going to play next.
Yeah.
You can physically scroll through the records as opposed to thinking about that on a laptop. I never really got into the laptop, side of it. I mean, I pretty much was done the mobile DJing by the time the laptops had came in. It was beautiful to not have to carry all those records around. Yeah. But I still have them all. Still have all the vinyl, all the albums, and that's part of what I have a whole record room that you probably see if you watch this in the morning. You see my backdrop, one of the studios that I use in my house has all the turntables, and the mixer and all that right there.
Yeah, when I see you do your broadcast from your house on the on Instagram, I do see all the stuff that you have in the background. It's pretty neat. But National Donut Day, National Coffee Day, you have all the antique stuff in the back. Kind of makes the appearance feel better,
And that started when when we first got sent home, when Fox first asked us all to go home because of the pandemic. One of the things I did was I set up in my den. I just set up our camera, the lights, just like we're sitting right here.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, man, I really loved how you decorated your backdrop. I'm like, I didn't decorate anything. That's me. That's my house. That was I had all my records, all my nostalgia stuff that, over the course of the years. And people love that. That was the feedback we got. We got that, my gosh, what's that on the shelf? Is that a bobblehead, a Ryan Howard bobblehead? Is that something from the Flyers? Whatever it may be. All that little stuff that's behind me created conversation.
Yeah.
And that's, of course, the back and forth that we were able to get, especially during the pandemic, and I still do it to this day.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing, too, like during the pandemic. I mean, I started getting into radio and podcasting during the pandemic. And it's amazing, like when you put your mind to certain things and how you can make things creative, it really appeals to people's eye and it really it sticks with them, right? Yep. It kind of makes them remember you for certain things, maybe certain phrases you say or some, maybe how you handle certain situations on your broadcast or things you say on the radio. And that sticks to you. Like, I remember that guy, I remember him, he said that. And obviously when you do your broadcast, it's really neat that you're able to bring that out too, and it helps the viewer really kind of get a feel for who you are.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, it's part of news this morning. News nowadays, whether it be radio or television, it really is entertainment at the same one.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the news nowadays is a little tough, given recent things that happen from time to time, and so you want to kind of let's pick it up a little bit. Let's make it fun. Hey. Everybody hates getting up early in the morning, so let's have some fun. Whether it be National Donut Day, I'm always looking for the fun twist to put on the day.
Yeah.
And it makes people laugh. It's something a little different that I found works, and not only for television but also on social media as well.
Yeah, and that's a great point you made. I mean, everybody, if you're not a morning person, especially, you're tired in the morning. Mm-hmm. But you turn on one of your broadcasts, and when you go 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, you're good morning, Bob Kelly here.
Good morning, everybody.
There it is.
Hey, listen, I hate getting up early in the morning.
Yeah.
I hate getting up early in the morning. But you know what? We got to do it. So let's get up in the morning. Let's have some fun with it. Mm-hmm. And that's been my whole, thing. And I've been able to kind of recreate, redesign the way that we kind of do the traffic. I mean, there's not a lot of traffic sometimes early in the morning. Yeah. So let's have some fun with it. The construction guys are out there. We'll throw in a national day, whether it be Donut Day or Grilled Cheese Day, have some fun with it, and then give the viewers or the folks that are listening to us either on the radio, on television, or social media a chance to interact.
Yeah, totally.
National Grilled Cheese Day. How many slices of cheese do you put on your grilled cheese? Right. Something like as little as that gives people a chance to have some fun, interact, and maybe take away from whatever that top story is today on the news.
Right. And again, it's like you said, it's a great point. It's kind of like a feel-good situation, right? We look in the news nowadays, and obviously, this past week we had that horrible shooting on South Street. Mm-hmm. Obviously all the families involved and all the people and the citizens, very sad situation. So when you look at the news, again, some people get a notion that it's automatically going to be negative, right? And you kind of take this and you make it fun. And like you said, you make people laugh, make people smile, and something to think about. Ooh, let me go grab a donut today. Let me go grab a coffee today. National Grilled Cheese Day. Go get your grilled cheese, right? So, I mean, now for you as you're doing your broadcast, I mean, is that something that you always thought was your way to kind of interact with them? Or do you kind of just fell into Good Morning, Good Day with Bob, Bob from Philadelphia.
Yeah, all this stuff. I mean, everything that I'm doing right now, I never really imagined as like, 25 years ago, I had a game plan and here's where I was going to be. It's kind of evolved into that. And I think everything that I do, all the different segments that I do for television, all come out of thinking to myself, wow, that's a way to engage the viewer. That's something we can have some fun with. Something I like doing. Breakfast with Bob, going and visiting the little small breakfast places that give those small businesses a hit, give them that 5 minutes of fame. A lot of these places could never afford advertising on Fox, so it's a chance to go and highlight. Every neighborhood's got that breakfast spot.
Yes,
right? So let's go and have some fun. Put them on TV. Get the neighbors to come out. Put them on TV.
Yeah.
And then even with the kids. With the schools. Kelly's Classroom is a segment that I do. Every week I go to a different school and we highlight something good about the school. Again, the positive side.
Right.
Okay. And the kids are on TV. The parents will watch. Bingo. It's it makes for great television.
Yeah, and I think it's awesome too. Like I mentioned this early on. So when we started in the interview was the interaction that you're able to provide. All right, and that personality that you provide from yourself to interact with these people. I mean, they love you. They want you to keep coming back for more. Yeah. Right, Bob?
And it's exactly it. And so you go to one place, and then another breakfast place will hit us up. And I try to hit all the neighborhoods because again, just being able to help give back. A lot of these places are still trying to get back from the pandemic.
Yeah.
And that's how it all started. It's like, let's go and give a shot in the arm to some of these businesses that really need help getting back here, letting people know that we're back in business, after the pandemic, slowly but surely, give them that chance to do that. And like with the schools, after Kelly's Classroom, when the kids are out of school, where do they go? They go to camp.
Yeah.
So we do Camp Kelly every week. It's like, I remember thinking to myself, what do they do at camp for 8 hours a day? For our kids? Let's go find out. Camp Kelly. Yeah. So I go and I get messy. I get wet. We have water gun races, whatever it may be. But it's something fun that we can do on television that can bring a smile and add some energy to it.
Yeah, and that's great. And admire you for you doing that. I'm sure, and everyone else in the surrounding area loves what you do for the kids and for the community, and it's really great to see. Before we'll get more into that later in the second half of the hour. But I want to talk a little about Philly sports for a second. So, grew up in the Philadelphia area. I would imagine that you and your family were diehard Philly sports fans or just Philly sports fans?
Yeah, definitely Philly sports fans. I skipped school for the Flyers Stanley Cup parades, which again, I just in May. Think about it, May 2nd or May 3rd, I think it was, is when they won their first Stanley Cup. Mm-hmm. We're still playing hockey. I can't believe we're still playing hockey. But yeah, loved Philly sports, skipped school and went to the Phillies victory parade back in 1980.
Wow.
I skipped high school back then, skipped, I think 8th grade it was. Sister Laverna, if she's listening, God rest her soul. We skipped school to go to the parade. Yeah, I definitely love this Philly sports.
Is there a sport that you liked more in particular than the other, or did you enjoy all sports the same?
I enjoyed. I was more baseball and hockey. Playing roller hockey in the middle of the street. With a net and a stick, and you're like a car, and you got to get out of the way. Okay.
Yeah.
You play for 2 more minutes, car, and you move on off. Baseball. Played baseball on the little rec teams down there in Bridesburg. Mm-hmm. The Bridesburg Cougars, which are still, they still got a great youth program down there. It was basically baseball and hockey.
So you kind of you focus on baseball and hockey more, but you didn't mind the other sports, the Eagles, the Sixers.
Of course, everybody's always an Eagles fan.
Yeah.
Sixers won back then as well, so you kind of jump on the bandwagon. But I'm definitely an all sports kind of guy.
Yeah, I mean, something about the Philly sports and Philly fans, and you growing up in the Philadelphia area, you can attest to this, and you know throughout the years. I mean, something about Philadelphia fans in general. They just have such a passion for it. I mean, what is it in the water? Is it in the cheesesteak? What is it?
Water. Yeah, it's in the water. But you're right. Philly is passionate, and I think that a lot of these other teams that come in from out of town, they may take our passion as being more aggressive or angry. We're just passionate. We just want to win.
Yeah.
And we're so hungry and thirsty for that win that we get so close. Or they build a team, and it's going to look good coming out of the gate. And then when it doesn't materialize, the fans get angry, and you're spending good money to go down there. You're going, you got parking, you got your ticket, you got your food that's down there. You're investing a lot of money to take the kids to a game right now, and you want to see them win.
Yeah. And going back to what you said about the fans may get angry if we're not winning or if we're playing horrible, right? But the thing that I noticed year after year, being grew up in South Jersey, my family being from South Philadelphia on my dad's side, but grew up in the South Jersey area, it's all Eagles fans, all Sixers fans. Now, one thing I always would say is we may be very angry at that one game or that one season. But come the next season, we think we're winning the Super Bowl again. We think we're winning the World Series. It doesn't matter what happened the year before.
Exactly, and that's what's great. We can have a bad Sunday afternoon of football. We'll mourn for a little bit on Monday, maybe half a Tuesday, but then we're fired up and we're ready to go by Wednesday, moving into that following week. So, but you can't put a couple of those together because then the Phillies fans or the Eagles fans really get upset. Yeah. But it would be great to have another championship team here, and I think we're on the verge. I mean, we're right there. We're on the cusp of it, and I think that's why the Phillies fans are so passionate and are so eager for that win because we're there. We're on the 5-yard line. We got the players. There's just these little bit of tweaks that have to happen along the way.
Yeah, and that's such a good point. We feel like we're so close. It's right there for Philly sports just taking off. I mean, we can do it. We've been there in the past. I mean, look at the 2018 Eagles Super Bowl. I mean, I don't know if you personally went to the parade. I'm sure you did. And I was actually fortunate enough to get up there. I mean, just the camaraderie and the fan base that Philly has, especially the Eagles. I mean, it was like 35 degrees that day walking down to the Art Museum steps. I mean, it was amazing.
We covered it. I covered the Phillies victory parade in 08. And I covered the Flyers, the Eagles parade just a couple years ago, and it was great. The passion was just there, And then, of course, when you taste a victory parade, you want it again and again and again. So Philly's got a taste of that, and now they're hungry for it.
So before we go to the break, we have about a little bit under a minute here. I want to ask you, maybe not to put you on the spot, cheesesteak place, Scott. What is your go-to spot without being biased here?
Wow.
You have a lot of listeners, so be careful what you say.
Okay. I know, and that's a good question. I'm going to go, corner of 9th and Passyunk, one side of the street, and then we'll go to the other side. We'll do them both. We'll do Pat's and Geno's. They're classics. And I remember doing, a cheesesteak testing, and they're all great. They're all great. I mean, the good stuff.
Yeah, it's hard to compete. They're all great out there, and you go to one, you go to the other one. They're all good. It just brings the whole thing out.
Each one has their own little twist to the cheesesteak. Oh yeah. So for all of them, we love you all. We love you all.
Yep. So you heard it there from the man himself. We will be right back here on News Talk 1400 and 92.3 WOND. I am your host, Blake Roselle, the Big Man Support. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back.